Hi everyone, Aiden here with eTrailer. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Inno Gravity Ski and Snowboard Carrier and seeing how it fits on the top of our 2024 Subaru Outback. So this style of carrier a lot of people like because it's going to be a lot smaller and less expensive than something like a rooftop box. Sure, your skis and snowboards will not be enclosed like they would be with a box, but let's say the place you're going has a parking garage. You're not adding near as much height to your vehicle, so for those low clearance situations, you don't have to worry about it as much. And it's a lot easier to just keep in storage in the off season because this can go on a shelf in your garage much easier than a large 16 cubic foot box. Not to mention, this works great with the factory roof rack on our Outback, and that's something you got to consider with any roof mounted accessory here because these bars are going to be a lot thinner than a typical crossbar, and they sit very close to the roof. So you've got to look for things like low profile clamps and clamps that can clamp around tight enough to those smaller bars to ensure a strong hold on the roof. The carrier does lock, and that lock will keep your jaws closed, but also keep this lever closed. This lever is what controls the clamp, and we'll check that out in a second. But to open it up, you can just press this release button. My one complaint about it is that it's kind of small, especially compared to other roof-mounted ski and snowboard carriers. So if you're wearing large gloves or mittens and you don't have as good of dexterity to press that button, it's just something to consider. But then you can just unload your stuff relatively easily. The only thing to keep in mind is that your roof rack is inset to the roof a little bit, so for that inner slot, it's going to be a bit of a reach. But luckily this carrier isn't super long. It's really only an issue if you need to go with a bigger size because the longer these get, then the closer to the center of your roof it's going to be and the harder it will be to reach those inner pieces of gear, meaning you'll probably have to climb up inside the door jamb with your snowy boots. Compared to other options, this is going to sit a little bit taller and bulkier. Still though, compared to a roof box, it's not bad. From the tallest point on your roof, on the edge here to the top of the carrier is 6.5 inches, which again, compared to boxes is not near as bad, but it's still gonna be maybe a bit more unsightly than some of the other options, like the Kuat grip. Now the way those clamps work is using Inno's memory mount. So when you do the first time setup, you'll use this gray knob to set the tension of that lever. And whenever you close it, the clamps will close up around the underside of the crossbar, snap shut, and as you close the top, these tabs will guide in here and prevent that lever from being opened. Sometimes they curl in a bit because that plastic is pretty thin, so longevity of that design, maybe not the best, but it works and it'll keep just a level of security. And once you set the tension for those clamps on your crossbars, you never have to worry about it again. So the uninstall and reinstallation is literally just throw the lever on both sides and lift it off of your roof or just back on whenever you're ready to go again. Like I mentioned, this is a smaller carrier, which does translate to less usable space. You've got about 14.5 inches from inside edge to inside edge here. So if that's not enough for all the stuff you need to carry, you might consider a different carrier, maybe something from Rhino Rack because they have so many different size options, or maybe double up on the Inno Gravity if you like it and put one on the other side. Since it is shorter, it does take up less space on your smaller roof rack here, and this one could get shifted towards the edge, towards me a bit closer, leaving more room on the other side for another set of these. So overall, I think the Inno Gravity is a pretty solid budget option. Definitely not my favorite. I like that it's tool-free, so if you are taking it on and off very frequently, then that's gonna be really helpful because it saves you time. But if you're the type of person that loads up your carrier for the start of the skiing or snowboarding season, leaves it on, and then takes it off at the end of the season, I'd recommend going with the Rhino Rack option because one, you've got more size options there, and two, it's gonna sit a bit more low profile, have an easier to use button, and really the only drawback there is that you do need an Allen key to install the clamps, which for that initial setup will take longer, but it's gonna sit a little bit nicer on top of the roof rack there. And like I said, if you're not taking it on and off frequently, that doesn't really matter too much. So it's easy for me to overlook that. But this has just been our look at the Inno Gravity and seeing how it fits on the 2024 Subaru Outback. Thanks for watching.